name is Kathryn Boughton, and I am Canaan Town Historian. I am speaking to you from the Canaan History Center, which is located on Main Street and is designed to preserve Canaan's past. As town historian, my job is to help folks understand what it was like to live in Canaan in the past and how we came to be the town that we are. Today I'm going to take you back to the days before World War II. It's a very long time ago for you folks, and it was a time when there was no internet, there were no cell phones, there wasn't even any TV. So children in the first half of the 20th century had to rely on themselves for their fun, and today I'm going to play you a little video of an interview I did with my mother back in 1989. That in itself is quite a long time ago now, that's 30 years. My mom, Frances Wohlfert, was born on a farm on Clayton Road, and she spent her first 8 years there. And then she moved down to Canaan, and while she was in Canaan, she went through her teenage years, and the time she recalls was really a lot of fun, as I think you will find in this coming little video that I've made.
And I grew up on the farm very happily. I was an only child, and I sometimes try to remember what I did with all my time because I had no one to play with, but I seem to have filled it very happily. We always had cats and kittens, and I remember dressing them up and wheeling them around in baby carriages. And then when I was about 8, we left the farm, and Dad went into business for himself, and then we moved into Canaan, and I had all sorts of freedom and friends and access to all the good things in life.
You were living pretty much directly across from the playing field, where
across from the playing field and Borden's Pond, and where everybody went every winter day that they could possibly get there. And it was our skating rink. And so they had this lovely little pond out in back there where the state garage is now. And they cut ice there all winter long. Now, it wasn't a deep pond. No one could have seriously drowned in it, but we skated wherever there was ice, and if they cut half of it off, we skated on the other half. Of course, now, no business in their right mind would allow children to skate on a pond that was half open water, but we skated there for years on end, and if anyone fell in, they just went home and
changed their clothes.
got dry clothes. But there was always a big fire at night and some kind of a big kettle they had out there, and you would just simply die if your mother wouldn't let you go skating, because that's where everybody was. Every Saturday night there was a dance at the town hall, and the town hall has now been torn down, but I think that every Saturday night there was a place to go, and everybody went, and everybody had a great time. The Canaan Theater was very, very popular, and movies were the ultimate desire of everyone to get to the movies. We didn't do it very often. Mostly it was Saturday matinees, but gosh, we would have liked to have gone to more. They were fascinating.
How much did a movie cost then?
15 cents for a matinee. But now Mrs. Beckley occasionally needed something from the store, and I would run down to the store for her, and I would get a penny for making a trip. But of course, in the economy of the day, a penny was not to be sneezed at. You could buy great penny candy. 5 pennies bought you an ice cream cone that would cost you $1 now. And
describe the school a little bit. You were up on the hill.
Yes, it was a very old building that had been added on to many times. The desks were, gee, I guess even when I was there, they must have been over 50 years old. They were the kind you see when you go in the old schoolhouses replicas now, where the front of one and the back of the other was, you know, they were all joined together down the aisle.
The school my mother attended was up on Granite Avenue, and today all you would find where that school was is a parking lot in front of Pilgrim House. But it was a fine old school, and she went there, and then years later I went there for my first 4 grades before they built the new elementary school in 1956. Now the next few pictures will demonstrate how simple education was in those days. These pictures were taken during a lesson that the teachers gave about communities, and we know that because we can see in the posters behind the children that they are studying different things. There's a store, there's the post office, there's a visit to a pediatrician, or I'm not quite sure which it is. It might be a visiting nurse coming to see a mother. And the final one is they've taken their chairs and they've put them in a row, and they have 2 chairs turned over in front of them, and that is the lesson on trains and transportation. So you can see the teachers had to be quite innovative in designing their classes and bringing the big world into this rural school to teach their students.
There were, of course, no lunch facilities and there was no school bus. If you came from so far that you couldn't go home for lunch, well, you brought your lunch. And the kids walked. They walked from wherever they came from. The only people that had buses were the East Canaan people, and that was at 7th and 8th grade. Your small regional schoolhouses only went through the first 6 grades, and then children came into the center school. I do believe that at that time that if you completed the 6 grades out in the country, many families didn't feel that there was really much sense in continuing with all this, and boys could, especially if they were needed on the farms. And practically nobody had a car up until, say, the time we started to go at the regional. There really wasn't much need for a car, because just about anything you wanted was, you could go roller skating upstairs over the Colonial Theater. You could go to the movies. You could go skating, skiing.
We had a ski jump here in town, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a ski jump up on Applewood, which was just for kids, but it was a winter ski club. In summertime, you could go swim in the river. There never seemed to be any question of activities. Everybody, the kids in our neighborhood, used to play sort of group games. It was some kind of tag or something like that, but we played it incessantly. And all the kids in the neighborhood would come out every night after supper, and we'd all. And of course, in the wintertime, I remember sliding down the hill that's now goes up to the school, P Street. At that time, the road stopped right there above the bridge, and we used to slide down that hill. And I would lie on my back and slide down, because there was no place you could go. I mean, there was nothing you could hit. You were just going to go down the hill. And I'd lie on my back and watch the stars on the way down. And now kids are looking for cars. In those days, our dream in life was to get a bicycle. And I got my first bicycle when I was 16.
Wow.
And thought I was very lucky to get it, because none of my friends had one either. So I wasn't deprived. It was a 10-year-old now is much more savvy and sophisticated than I was at 20. It was wonderful because nobody ever thought of being afraid of anything. I mean, you could go out at night and go down to Borden's Pond and walk home, and no one ever thought of any fear of anyone. I was raised very naively, I'm sure. I didn't realize that there was trouble out there.